Thank you for coming to tonight's mastermind. Now, the actual live event itself had some technical difficulties. I wore my headphones and as such you could hardly hear my voice. So what I've done is spent the last 2 hours organising everything so that I can include the comments of the lovely 5 people who joined me on Sunday evening, and that was Alison, Laverty, Tanja, Jody, Patricia and Piotr. So without much more to do, let's start some of the parts of recordings, and then in other areas you're going to hear just me, and we will begin.
Hello.
Jody's here. Yep, Jody's here.
Probably found to get a glass of wine or something.
Oh, get one for me,
I went out,
please.
right?
I have one.
Okay, so we were just waiting for Piotr to come online and join us. And we will get to the point where Piotr joins us. One moment.
I am here now. Sorry, I'm actually driving at the moment, so
Wow.
yeah, I'm very cool.
Now we go through where everybody introduces themselves, and I am going to forward to that moment right here and now.
Hi, it's Alison from PhotoDVD.
Hi, I'm Tan from Write Your Cancer.
I'm Jody from MammaChat. Hello.
Trish from Trishel.
Peter, wedding photographer, spoil weddings.
Okay, so we're going to begin very shortly with our presentation. And at the time, Piotr was actually driving, so he was doing very, very well to be following along with us the way that he had. So we're going to be discussing Pinterest strategy and growth. The 6 points that we're going to deal on this particular masterminds was, one was Pinterest basics, just talking about the basics of a personal and a business account. The next point we'll go on to is about your audience, making sure that the information that you place into your Pinterest account is relevant to your readers, if you're a blogger, or if you are a business, your customers. The third point will be dealing on Pinterest board presentation. How you present your Pinterest boards is very important from a keyword search prospect and also from it being picked up on Google search. Our fourth point will be all about curation. How can you find valuable, quality-based content to share with those who are going to be following you on Pinterest and make it attractive for them to repin. And then the last session before we have question and answer will be growing your follower base. Just how do you go about with growing your follower base? So before I begin, I decided it would be a great idea if we find out just who has a personal and who has a business account. And I will take it to that point.
Peter, wedding photographer, spoil weddings.
Okay, so that was that point. I've gone and got that wrong. Just one moment and I will take it to the appropriate section.
Alison has.
Trish has.
Yeah, I've only got a business one.
Okay, so we established that most of the people that were on the night, they all have a business account. I believe Jody was the only one who wasn't too sure at the time what account she may or may not have had. So we're going to talk about why it's important to ensure whether you have a personal account or a business account. Now, why this is really important for you to find out, and you can do so by, I've shown the page, and if you look down the bottom of the PowerPoint presentation, you can actually see the site that you can go to, which is at business.pinterest.com, to find out whether you have a personal account or whether you have a business account. Now, why is it important to have a business account? I'm going to be showing you 4 points. The terms of service with a personal account compared to a business account is very different. So if you are a blogger or if you're a business, Pinterest will strongly advise you to ensure you have a business account. The advantages of having a business account is you can create a name as long as you want, because with a personal account you only can put your first name and your surname, but with your business account you can say who you are, what business you are, and even a little bit specifically about what you may share on your account. The third one is advertising. You're able to have rich pins, promoted pins. You're able to formalize your advertising, and there's a lot more to come. Pinterest is continually evolving and improving their services. And the last one is to receive newsletter updates. Now, what I found really interesting was that a lot of those who have accounts don't have or follow the newsletters. And why I found that really odd is that there's a lot of fantastic case studies in these newsletters that you'll be missing out on, examples that you might be able to apply to your business. So I asked my mastermind session, the 5 that were attending, if they indeed followed the newsletter success stories or not.
Seldom.
No.
I have to say no.
No, me either.
I haven't either.
No.
Okay, so none of them actually follow the newsletters. Now that's really, really sad, because in the newsletters you will get some fantastic success stories about how people have been able to effectively use Pinterest to drive traffic to their websites. They have got some fantastic jobs and they have increased their bottom margin, in some cases over 100% extra income per year, purely by having Pinterest. And you're missing out on all those fantastic examples and all those case studies. And as I mentioned to Peter, because he's a wedding photographer, I do recollect quite clearly that there was a great example about using Pinterest as a wedding photographer that he would have missed out on. The next point I wanted to clarify with everybody is, to gain all these aspects, you need to have verified your website. Now, why is verifying your website so important? It is because it allows you to have the tick to say you're verified. There's a lot of spammers on Pinterest, like any other social media practice. And you can see on this slide that I'm showing you the difference between Nike Women and just Nike. You can see that the verified account is verified. It's got a lovely tick there on the first example, and then there's Twitter connected to it. Whereas the other one, which is a makeshift account that somebody else has set up, doesn't have the tick of verification. So it's something that makes a trust, like it makes your followers feel that they can know and trust you and follow you. The other reason why you should verify your website with Pinterest is it allows you to stand out in the search results. So you can see on the left hand side here about Zappos, where you can see that there's followers and there's a numerous other accounts. But when you flip over to the right hand side, you can actually again see Zappos, the logo, the name and the tick alongside the website, showing that it is definitely verified. So the question is, those who attended the Masterminds nights, how many of them have verified?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
So again, there's been half and half. Some of them had actually verified and others had not verified. Going on to our next slide, the other advantage you have with verifying your website on Pinterest is the fact that you can find your analytics. you will be able to go into your account. When you have the drop down, you'll see something called analytics. And as you can see on this page that you're looking at now, is that it's saying to me that I have had 4 daily impressions to my blogger support for all website and 2 daily viewers, which is up 400%. Now this is fantastic because this is ultimately why you are actually on Pinterest to begin with. You want to be found. You want that traffic to go through to seeing your website. Now, a few of them had mentioned that they could not see this PowerPoint presentation while I was doing this, which is unfortunate, but they will be able to see this once I upload the presentation onto my website. So let's go on to the next one. Why is it important with your branding to ensure that you have the ability for people to know who you are? Well, you need to complete all your details for people to be able to find your Pinterest account to begin with. So these are the things that you need to do when it comes to your Pinterest account. You need to make sure that you have an image. Now just remember that if you have a personal image of yourself on Pinterest, statistically saying you're going to have more followers than what you would if you just use your business logo. In the About You section, you need to fill it with keywords. Now you need to be pretty specific here, such as, like with Peter, he's a wedding photographer. So he would put in the About You section about focusing on bridal photography. Jody, since she's with MammaChat, she's going to use keywords that are going to be very different from Peter's because she wants mums to be able to find her and connect with her. She wants to make sure that she uses keywords that Google search will pick up. And that applies for just about any business or any blogger who actually fills out the About You section. Now, I always recommend that when it comes to using your username on Pinterest, that it should be consistent with all your social media platforms so that it's easy for people to find you. Because what I've found with my office books, my Pinterest account there with 11.2 thousand followers, is that they will often want to follow me on Twitter. They will then look for me and follow me on LinkedIn. So these are the things to keep in mind when it comes to doing your Pinterest account. Also, after you verify your website, think about how you would like people to notify you. In Pinterest, you're able to select if you want to be notified by email, whether they can contact you by phone, or whether they can message you via Pinterest itself. And the next is you connect all your social media platforms to Pinterest. Again, like I said before, make it easy for people to follow you, and also share. If you've got a really popular pin on Pinterest, you can then share that with your other social media platforms. The last one is allowing and revoking apps. Now, what I mean by that, before we go on to audience, is that I use Hootsuite, and I have allowed Tailwind, which is a Pinterest scheduler. It's also good for Instagram, to connect with Hootsuite and Pinterest. So when I scroll down and have a look at the different options underneath my control panel for settings, I will actually see that Tailwind is an add-on or an app that's connected to my Pinterest account. Now we're going to deal on the subject of your audience. We're going to discuss about how you can create a Pinterest account that is appealing to who your readers are, or if you're a business, who your customers are. Because at the end of the day, you really, really want to attract the right type of people to your particular Pinterest account. Otherwise, what is the purpose of you having gone ahead and do that? So I asked a lot of those who are part of the masterminds if that was something that they have done. Have they considered their reader base or their audience when it comes to their Pinterest account? Now, here they go.
I have, but I'm not sure exactly who the audience is.
Okay, so you heard it there that they're not sure who their audience is. Now, just like you are as a blogger, you want to make sure that your blogs appeal to the ideal audience. You want to make sure that when you create your Pinterest account, that it's going to be appealing to the people that you'll be speaking to, the ones that you want to join and follow you on Pinterest. So you need to ask yourself the following questions as part of your process. Who are they? What is their lifestyle? What is their income? Now, all these are going to play a part and have an impact on the boards that you're going to share on your Pinterest account. So you really need to tailor your boards around that one reader and then shape your board strategy around them. Now, I'm going to share a really good case study, and this is done by my good friend and wonderful mentor over in the US, Vincent Nigg from MCNG Marketing in the US. He's very kindly allowed me to use some of his material to be able to assist my Australian friends and followers here on how to use Pinterest properly. And you'll see that I actually refer to him at the base of this image because these images are actually coming from him. So a case study that Vincent has provided for me is Lululemon's. Now, they deal in yoga products, and when you look at this picture, you can see that there's beautiful jewelry, they have a life on the go, they have underwear, sports bras, they've got things about do it yourself, they're into that kind of beautification, you got hairstyles, and you also got tank tops and things like that. So what we're going to go on to with the next slide is we're going to go into and dig a bit deeper, because you really want to know who your target audience is on Pinterest so that you can seduce them to your boards to check out what you have. So let's have a look. What are the areas that he has discovered with this particular account, Lululemon, with their targeting? What are they understood and what are they doing well? So you can see here that they understand that most people into yoga are women. They obviously practice yoga. Their health is an absolute priority. So they're going to put things in like their exercise routines, stretching, other exercise like cycling. It's not all just going to be yoga. They're going to talk about having an active lifestyle. They understand because statistically they don't have children, they travel a lot. They enjoy looking and feeling good, so they're going to have bracelets and tank tops and exercise gear and maybe a board on beautiful clothing that they can wear to make them look and feel good. They're going to deal on using eco-friendly products, because if you're into yoga and your health, that is the next step. It's obvious and logical to believe that they're going to be concerned that their makeup isn't being tested on animals, that the food that they put in is very nutritional and healthy. They're going to be into the latest health trends, understanding about good fats and bad fats and granola and the benefits to your health. And statistically, they also understand by doing their research that most of them are brunette. So this is something that you can use in your strategy when it comes to building your boards and making sure that your Pinterest account is very, is actually pointed towards that individual, reader. You want to make sure that you're specific and that it's going to appeal to them. Okay, so going on from there, you're also going to want to look at what are interests they have. What is it they want to do? So when I was talking to Peter during our last Masterminds, we dealt on the fact that he has individually needs to think about, as a wedding photographer, what other boards might his audience find appealing, such as wedding jewelry, their makeup, their hairstyles, the men's suits, page boy and flower girl outfits, the wedding dresses, the flower bouquets. So, and because they're going to be looking for their big day, Peter and I discussed about the fact that they're going to want to diet and they're going to be looking at exercise. And these are all boards that he can experiment and try on his Pinterest account to see if he can appeal. And not to mention the fact that they're going on honeymoons. So most definitely it's going to be a situation where honeymoon destinations, travel is going to be absolutely relevant when it comes to his boards and how he appeals to his audience.
Yeah.
So like Peter said, he understood, he knew. Okay, so let's move on from this point. Let's have a look at how we're going to make our Pinterest boards appealing to our readers and who we're going to start pinning from them. So I spoke about the fact that the first 8 boards are the very most important boards that you have to feature on your Pinterest. This means you drag and drop those 4 most popular boards so that when they click on your Pinterest account, they're the very first they're going to see. This will also tell them exactly about who you are and what you pin. So if you're a blogger, of course you're going to feature your boards that have your blogs on them, or maybe where you have testimonials, where you've helped people through the information that you've shared. These are all boards that you have in those first 8 sections. Make sure that your boards are optimized to be found in Pinterest search. And now I found that myself. I had a blog board that I had put down starting a blog. But when I actually searched in blogging, it came up with blogging for beginners. So I changed my board, and consequently by doing that, I ended up with more followers to that board. And you can use the search bar. Now, these are things that I have experiments with and I have found. And you will also find that if you type your board names in, you will also find different ideas and different names that you may or may not need to look at when it comes to looking at the names of all your boards. So let's move on to the next one, about search optimizing your board names. Now, as I just said, I've given you this example so you can see what I was talking about earlier. When I said starting a blog and I put in blogging, you can see that there are 4 search answers here: blogging for beginners, blogging tips, blogging ideas, blogging for money. So these are the keywords that are going to be a priority and come up in Pinterest itself. And you want to be able to follow these because this means that your boards, and as a pinner, you're going to be found when people look in the search board. So when you scroll down and have a look down the bottom here, you'll see there's business blogging. And I'll bring the cursor there, and it says business blogging. Big blogging for beginners and blogging tools. Just excuse me, I had a sip of water. All of these are from Blogger Support. Now you might say that, well, it's your account, of course your boards are going to come up. Well, actually no, when I first did this before I changed my board names, they were other people's accounts that came up. But since I have made sure that my keywords follow what it was that came up on Pinterest, because as you can see those 4 board names, then now my boards are coming up under the search for boards. And you can do this too with your own Pinterest account. Now, before I go on to the next slide where I'm going to start talking about your board descriptions, Jody had actually asked me a question. So just one moment and I'm going to go to that question and share that with you.
Sorry, Amanda, when you say branded then, what do you mean by that? I always thought branded was a code name for the title of your boards.
So when it comes to branding, when you're going to brand your names that people can find you, it means that you're going to be using your blog colors, your logo, and a photo maybe that's relevant about your blog or about yourself. So that when they see the covers, they know immediately that this brand belongs to your company or your blog or your brand. So this goes back to the first 2 to 8 boards that we were talking about earlier when it came to naming your boards. You want to make sure that those first 8, if you can, are actually branded. Now, just so that you know, the best size for a board cover is 390 by 290, I believe, and then that's a great size for you to be able to use for the cover of your board. So what I've done with mine is I've actually made a custom made picture. I have then put in the details about my blog, which is the blogger support for all. I've put a link to my blog, I've put 2 hashtags, and then I've saved it as a pin to that particular board, and then I go on my phone, I click edit, and then I select the board cover being the image that I just put into that board. So that's what I mean by when it comes to branding. Now the question was, did that actually answer everybody's question that was there?
Oh, okay.
I see.
So then Trish and Jody understood exactly what it meant by what I meant by that by that branding situation. So the question is, what are you doing? What are you doing with your boards? Is that something that you have actually thought about? Are you doing that? And if you're not, then I strongly advise, so that you can be found, that you should do that.
Look, and just with further on that, like I'm fairly busy on Instagram. I've only just started since November, but I've been branding all of my pictures on Instagram as well. So when people look at it, they know my logo's at the bottom right hand corner at all times. So no matter what, there's never any dispute whose photo that is.
Yeah.
So that was a great example from Peter when he explained that he's been branding all his Instagram pictures. 1, he's protecting his logo and his name. 2, everybody knows those photos come from Peter in his wedding photography business. And 3, people are saying to get to know who Peter is. So that strategy that Peter is doing on Instagram is actually perfect for what you should do as a blogger or a business when it comes to branding the pictures that you post. That's your content. Okay, it is a bit more work, but the benefit will be that people will start to know who you are and also familiarize themselves with your brand. So it is not uncommon that when it comes to your boards that you're going to have 120 or so boards as time goes over. Don't stress. Just understand that it's going to take time for you to develop your strategy, to build those boards. And I would also recommend that you move the boards around a bit, because at the end of the day, what you need to keep in mind is that people change, they want variety, and it's ideal if you can switch your boards around and see what's more popular and what boards people are clicking through to. So the next slide we have in here is about board descriptions. We can see we're talking about keywords, about being detailed, and having a call to action. Why are keywords in the board description so important? Number 1, it helps you get found by Google. So you can see with the top one here, Pinterest for bloggers, was just very basic. A comprehensive set of pins related to growing your Pinterest following, increasing repins, and getting traffic to your blog from Pinterest. Well, that was fine. It works okay. What is even better is the one that I've gone and done a screen print with up below, which is, there is so much required of a blogger, write amazing content, SEO, social media, email lists. Did we say write amazing content? So they've been very descriptive. And when you look, you can see that even though there's only 29 pins to this particular board, they have 8.8 thousand followers. Why do they have so many? It's because they use their description underneath the board name very effectively so they could be found. And that is why it's so important to use keywords and to put a description down rather than just putting a board title. And this again is what we're talking about. I've just opened it up for you so that you can see more effectively how that explanation of what the board is about ends up working for the individual. And you can see that, again, they've used lovely pictures. You can see growing your blog with Pinterest, the best Pinterest plugins for WordPress. Again, very specific for bloggers. It's material that's all useful, and so therefore people are going to follow that board because they understand that the curation's done for them. Having a call to action. Now, this is also something that a lot of people forget about, including myself. Now, why is that call to action really important? It allows people to know what they should do. So if you have an ebook like this particular board has, they've got a free ebook, they will offer that ebook, but obviously you have to subscribe to get that ebook. And this is where you can actually build an email list for your newsletter from Pinterest. So if you can be specific, grow your board following, offer a freebie, and then take their details. It's a fantastic tunnel marketing approach. You're ticking all the boxes, and ultimately that should be the whole reason why you're using Pinterest. Yeah, it's very visual and it's fun to use, and you can pin all sorts of interesting information, but ultimately, like I explained with verifying your website, you want that traffic to go and flow through to your website, if you're a blogger to gain more readers, and if you're a business to gain more clients. So let's follow on to the next section about curation. Now, this is something that you really need to do. You need to make sure that you curate information that is typical, topical to your audience, and something that people are going to love to be able to follow and also copy. So let's go on. So this particular slide talks about your own blog content, but it can also refer to other people's content. I made a note here that if you have blogs that was prior to you joining Pinterest, you may want to go back and jazz them up so that they're Pinterest friendly. There are a lot of reasons for that, but again, you want them that when you pin them to Pinterest for them to look attractive and to look relevant. So that way they will actually click on them and they will follow them. I'm going to say these points further about no stock photos because it comes like everybody else. You want unique pictures that are going to be attractive. You want to be a little creative with those images so they stand out, because let's face it, there's a lot of pictures on Pinterest, and particularly in the news feed. You really want your particular details to stand out from everybody else, because at the end of the day, it's no fun if it doesn't. You can use Canva and PicMonkey when it comes to creating images, and both of these tools are free if you use them properly. Plus, Canva has got all these templates specifically for size, for Pinterest, for blogs, for Twitter, for Facebook. They take all the guesswork out and make it very easy for you to do images. Now, Kim O'Gorman from Cog Marketing is really clever. When she does her blog, she does them in a batch, but then she also batches her images, and she'll do all her images at once so that she'll actually then be able to quickly adapt them to one social media to the next, and then she just posts them up. So you might like to be more organized like Kim O'Gorman is with Cog Media and do the same thing. I think it's a great idea, and I know that I've certainly paid attention to that podcast that we had with her, with the Aussie Blogger podcast. I definitely took those details, and Kim will be coming up with the Aussie Blogger podcast in the next couple of weeks. So if you're one of our members, keep a good ear out for that one. She gives so many fantastic tips, and I have been able to use those effectively in my own Pinterest account. The last one is use humor. You can see here on this picture that there's a Lego man with a really very girly hat. Now, Vincent used this for a blog that wasn't very popular. He found that not a lot of people were actually pinning it. So to go about with that, to improve that, he decided that he'd try this funny approach, and it worked fantastically. So that's another approach that you can actually use yourself when it comes to getting people to come by and use and pin your particular pins. This is a really good question. Where do I find content to curate? How do you find great articles that you can share with other people and that's relevant and something for them to be able to use? And that's a really good question. Don't get too fussed over, look, what can I say is this? Try different approaches. Don't just use Pinterest, because what I found is a lot of those that came and attended the Masterminds on Sunday, a lot of them only used what they could find on Pinterest itself, which is all well and good. It's a good strategy, but if you can go outside of Pinterest and say, your favorite blogger or your favorite website, or go to Google Plus. Now I like Google Plus because it lends itself very nicely to Pinterest. So I can go on my phone, go to Google Plus, do a search on a topic that I want to be able to pin to one of my boards, and then that image is very easy for me to then pin that through to my Pinterest account. What I will often do is, if I don't have as much time, I use a product called Evernote. I don't have the time to explain what that is, but if you know what Evernote is, you can actually save the link to your Evernote folder, and then when you have time, like I find most of my followers pin around 8 o'clock at night, I will then go to my folder and then start pinning that relevant information that appeals to my customers at that time of night, so that I will get that follow through with my customers. YouTube is actually another good place for you to go ahead and use to be able to find relevant information that you can share. But look, there's a lot of areas where you can actually go to that you can find content that you can share with people. Now, Trish brought up about her concern. She had a big concern about having to find time every day to share her own content. So when I talk about curating, it's not having to create brand new content that's your own every single day. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm talking about is actually finding other people's content that is relevant to your boards, that's relevant to your market, and then sharing that information online. Growing your followers. Now, there's a number of different areas that you can go ahead and find to grow your followers. And I highly recommend that you do so outside of necessarily just trying to find pins. In the search bar, you can actually follow pinners in your particular niche. And then because social media is such a reciprocal kind of environment, they will then follow and pin back. Now, Peter, I was saying you might want to do a search on bridal boards to see what boards they're sharing and pinning, and then follow those individuals if they're going to bridals and flowers and rings. You want to go to all those different areas to be able to find all that relevant information. If you're MammaChat, you want to find mum bloggers and follow the boards that they're following, and then follow them, and then hopefully they will reciprocate and follow you back as well. I also recommend that you pin on a daily basis. So, and I mean great content, and when I say that, be very careful. Make sure you verify the pin, where the URL comes from. Make sure that it is relevant to your board, because you want your followers to know that you take the time to quantify the links, to make sure it's relevant to them, and then that's going to give you a loyal follower base. Now, I said Jody could apply the same principle to MammaChat. Tan could apply it write her cancer story. Trish can apply it by following bloggers who are looking at talking and speaking, and then she can make sure that she's pinning great content regarding talking and speaking so that they can see that in their feed, and then they will repin it. But you need to be consistent, and I have a habit of going into the next one of following favorite bloggers. And why I do that is that I have particular bloggers where I know they verify the links and they're very careful about what they pin. So that this can actually work really well for you to save time. Because if you're got a night where you really don't have a lot of time to sit there and play on your phone to pin, you can go to your favorite blogger, to their Pinterest account, look at the boards that are relevant with yours, pin a couple of pins, that's it, you're done for the night. So that's another great one. But also the benefit, the other area of benefit by doing that is they will reciprocate the following. So if you follow them, they will actually probably about 4 times out of 10 follow you back, and that helps grow your follower base. And their followers will also see that you're following them, and if they follow you, then other followers in their Pinterest account will actually follow you as well. Now I'm just going to go ahead and have a look at a comment that Trish made. that is relevant to this section. Just going through now. It's just taken me to this point to find it. I'm sorry, being as the sound quality was a bit bad. Let's just hear what Trish had to say.
Can I ask a question? When you're saying pin great content, I'm assuming that's not just stuff that you've put together. You're talking about finding other pins, other boards, and pinning stuff from them. Is that correct?
Okay, so there was that question from Trish. So again, I'm just going to, I played that again just to remind you, when you pin every day, it does not have to be your own content. Find your favorite websites, find your favorite YouTube, subscribe to YouTube followings. Like if you're into TED Talks about a specific topic, follow that on YouTube and then pin that information through to your Pinterest account, because if you're interested about it, if it's about speaking like Trish, then your followers are also going to be doing the same. Okay, so we're going to go to the next one. Pin what inspires you and your readers. So you don't always want to focus just on business. You can focus on things that inspire you. It could be inspirational quotes. With me, I love Star Trek, so I will follow and get people to look at Star Trek. Also, you never know, in Peter's case, if he puts an inspirational quote, she might be feeling a bit down about her wedding, and she sees the quote, and then she clicks and sees he's a wedding photographer, and then she looks at his photos, and then she might love his work so much, and she happens to be in Perth, she gives him a call, and he gets some work. You just don't know, and you won't know unless you give it a really good try. Now I've got here showing you how my growth has been. That I have grown from the 1st 2016 using the principles that I've been showing you today, making sure that your boards have good titles, making sure that they're keyword orientated, ensuring that the first 2 to 8 are specific to your blog, making sure you fill out all your details about you, verifying your website. I've practiced all these points with Blogger Support for You, and on the 1st of this year I had 104 followers, and now I have actually nearly 200% more as of today. I've got over 300. But when I did this on Sunday, I had 273, and when I posted this example now on the Saturday, I had 268. So you can see what I'm teaching you in real time on my own Pinterest account. It actually does work. And this is what Jody had to say about that. So just give me a moment and we will hear her comment. I've just got to find the right one.
That's unreal.
So like she said, it's unreal. But it isn't unreal. You can do it too. Now, we come to the last part of the night, question and answer. So I'm going to leave it over to the ones that attended my night on Sunday, and we're going to listen to some of the questions that they asked me on the night.
I'm actually absorbing all this in at the moment. I do have a few questions in terms of, like when you talk about your targeting your niche, take for example, you don't just go into the area of what you're doing. That's what I'm understanding from you, because you can also move into other areas that actually point back to what you are doing. Take for example yoga. You can talk about solitude. You can talk about your mind, your body, and how that combine into health, into eating healthy, exercise, something like that. That's what you're saying basically, right?
And Alison was right on track. That is exactly what I was saying. You can then, like Alison's into PhotoDVD, and she shares people's precious moments on film, and she makes it so that it's attractive, and she'll touch things up so that it's being presented at its very best. So she can focus on things such as holidays, because when you go away on a holiday location, you're spending quality time with your family, and this is oftentimes when you have the time to take a film of the kids or to take photographs. So that's something that's relevant. Not just that, it's also there's bedtime stories. That's a very personal, very nice area for family to get involved where they do share memories. So the next one we're going to go ahead and listen to would be Tan's. So just give me a moment and I'm going to flick it through to where she came on board and asked a question.
Hey, come back to me. Yeah, sorry, I had my microphone off mute and it just wasn't coming down, so I couldn't unmute it. Amanda, I need a private one-on-one with you. I realised when I went in and I had my account set up, and it's a business one, but it's gone to my website that's been dead for like about 10 months. So I haven't even touched it or looked at it or anything. And I think one of the things was because there's bits and pieces that you talk about, I understand the whole process. Because it's not dissimilar to blogging, what you're talking about, but in terms of, I have to go right back, and it's the technical stuff, if that makes sense. You know, I'm looking at, even just doing a search, I can't find blogger support for all while I'm searching, so I'm doing something wrong.
Neither could I, Tan. I couldn't either,
Sorry?
Tan. I couldn't either.
Oh,
yeah, that's not just you.
Okay, so I have actually produced a little video on how I use the Pinterest search bar, which I will share on Blogger Support for You, and I'll also do a little blog about it on my Blogger Support for All website in the future. It's just a matter of me finding the time to be able to do that for you. So going on from that, let's have a look at Trish as well, and I'm just going to fast forward again to when Trish spoke. So just give me a little moment and we'll listen to Trish.
I'm feeling a little bit relieved because I've done several things that you've mentioned, especially in the last week. I just updated all my links because I let my Pinterest die for a couple of months, and I realised that I've got new websites, and I just fixed all those up, which I'm happy I have. So they're all solid. And what I haven't been doing is actually doing your search that you said. So that's given me some really good ideas on searching and putting other boards up for that. So I should really be putting a board up about blogging and stuff, like for bloggers and things I like about bloggers, so people will come. So thank you very much for those tips. I'm probably going to have lots of questions when I do it, but at the moment I'm just absorbing information and the few aha moments I've had.
Okay, so we can see that Trish did get quite a bit out of it, and she's still absorbing and getting some aha moments. And I hope with listening to the points that I gave you earlier, it may have been a little bit distracting because I'm trying to include what the group had spoke about on Sunday, as well as go over the material myself. It's a pity that there was an issue with the sound function, but I had actually put in a headphone set into the presentation just to make sure the quality sound of my voice was good, and inadvertently, without realizing, I actually zoned myself out. So I apologize if this sounds a bit haphazard, but I'm sure that you're enjoying the fact that they did give some questions, and I hope you're getting a bit of value out of that as well. So the last one we're going on to is now Peter, and I'm going to share Peter's, what he was saying, and I'm just going to bring that to that now, and just give me a moment and I will share that with you.
I've probably got some feedback. Like I've kind of neglected Pinterest for a while, hence me joining this call. I kind of dislike Facebook, but I love Instagram, and I think Pinterest is such a visual tool, and I love it. And what you've just said, as far as doing pins on certain different things, I mean, that's how I think, and that's how I communicate with my brides. I'm actually going to go over probably the next 2 weeks. I can't do it this week, only 1 week. But I'm going to start doing a whole bunch of different boards. I've got so much content. I mean, I do a lot of weddings every single year. I can just fill those boards full of content. So my question to you is, do I then go, okay, I can put a board full of wedding rings, or say engagement rings, or bridal bouquets, or veils, or whatever. Would I throw, say, 50 photos in one board, or do I go just one a day or two a day and grow it that way?
So what my answer was to Peter was that there's a great tool called Tailwind that you can use. It's on www.tailwindapp.com. Unfortunately, it does after a period of time become a paid tool, but initially when you first use it is free and it doesn't ask for a credit card, so you can trial it. And I said to Peter that he should get all that information, create pins, but then schedule it through Tailwind during the free session period and see how effective using that tool becomes for his business, rather than just flooding it all at once or trying to find the time to do it multiple times through the day. It's much better to use a scheduling tool. And like he found out and like we discussed, you can use that in conjunction with Hootsuite, which makes it very easy if you're already using Hootsuite to add and connect Tailwind to that. And then you can actually use it for your Pinterest account as well. So I'd like to thank everybody tonight for joining me. It's been a great night with everybody being part of the actual Skype session, and I hope you've got some value out of it. Now there's just a couple of concluding comments that were made by the ones that attended on the night, so I'm just going to find those and we can discuss those as well. Okay, I'm just getting this now. I wish it was really nice and easy and clean, but I'm a bit new.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
Oh, but Amanda, can I just? I remembered two of my questions. Can I? Is that all right? Firstly, I've only got 4 boards, so I've got one for personal development, one for being mama, one for my, non-nasty personal household stuff, and one for my blog. Do I need to really then go back and break them up further? So being mama, so in terms of might be discipline, it might be fun activities. Do I need to break that up more, do I?
Okay, so my answer to Jody ended up being that yes, she does need to break that up into multiple boards, and we also discussed about the fact that she also needs to make sure that she provides keywords so that they're easy for people to find. And I also suggested that to put a good description so that people can find those boards as well. And then I'm going to pop you through to Jody's next question, which is coming up. It might be one you've had.
Okay, my next question is, how do I know I've got business Pinterest or personal Pinterest?
Now that was a really good question, and you can do that by, if you remember in my earlier slides, I actually showed you a screen print with the URL of a business account. So you can pop over there and you can check and see by using that tool, because it'll tell you if you have a business, and if you don't, then it's an easy process of clicking on it to convert it to one. So I just got to go back through my PowerPoint presentation, and I will put it down underneath the video when I upload this to show where that URL is. So we'll just go to the concluding comments now. I apologize again.
And you did an awesome job. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I endorse that. It was brilliant for me. Thank you.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
absolutely.
Really, really good. You're the first Pinterest person I've listened to, and I'm very excited, so thank you very much.
And I would love one on Instagram, because I'm having a lot of problems working out how to make it work for my business.
So as I said, I'm experimenting on Instagram at the moment. I've grown to over 570 by posting only once a day.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I've got 15 or 20.
Have a chat to me as well, Amanda, when you're doing that. So I'll give you some stats, because since November I'm nearly at 700.
Oh my God.
Cheese and biscuits.
I don't know what to put on there. I just have no idea.
Yeah, so you can see that they did enjoy the night, and I am seriously going to be looking at connecting up with Peter.
Yeah, look, that well, very welcome. I'd love to do that. That'd be fantastic. And the other thing is, Chris, I've really got to go because I've got dinner on the table here. So I want to head off before I get divorced. And yeah, thank you again. Really appreciate it. Nice to meet everyone here, and I hope we can reconnect in one way or another.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks, ladies.
See you,
Really
Peter.
appreciate the night.
Bye,
Thank you.
Peter.
Bye bye.
Okay, so thank you very much, everybody that's been listening to this tonight. I apologise that I had to do it a bit ad hoc, but I thank you so much for joining me. And just remember that you can find me on my website at bloggersupportforall.com. You're welcome to join my Facebook group, and that's at Blogging and Support. And you can listen to Tan and my weekly Aussie Bloggers podcasts and give us a fantastic 5-star rating at AussieBloggersPodcast.com. So thanks again. I hope all the members in my Blogger Support for All group got some value out of this. And good night.